Hey, Algebra students, welcome to lesson 16. And this is a unique lesson because there's not really much I could teach you from the lesson. The big thing with this lesson is making sure that when you plug in negative values, you keep your negative values straight. Don't lose a minus sign or you're going to lose the answer to the entire question. Okay, let's take a look at letter A and we'll go ahead and get started. Now, I recommend with problems like this that you write out every single step. Do these stepwise or you'll lose things. And the first thing I'm going to do, the first thing I'm going to write out is actually the expression with the numbers in it. So instead of writing out ax, negative a minus x, I'm just going to plug in 2 for x right away. So this is going to become 2 times, so ax, a is 2, x is negative 1, 2 times negative 1. And then in brackets here, I have negative 2 times, in parentheses, 2 minus negative 1. Okay, and then I end my brackets and my parentheses. I'm going to add in a few more spaces here just to clarify things so we can see everything. All right, there we go. So the next thing that I need to do now is keep track of order of operations as I solve this and simplify it. And as I do that, let's see, order of operations says I have to do the things in the innermost parentheses first. My innermost parentheses would be this 2 minus negative 1 here. So everything else is going to stay the same. I still have 2, negative 1. I still have a bracket here and a negative 2 out front, but I can simplify inside this parentheses. 2 minus negative 1. I'm going to change it to an addition problem. I'm going to add the opposite. Becomes 2 plus positive 1, so 2 plus 1. So in that inner parentheses, that just becomes 3. Okay? Now I'm still going to do what's inside my brackets next. Okay, so I'm just doing one thing on each pass through this equation here, just to make sure that I'm thorough and I get it all done right. So up front, I'm still going to have 2, I'm still going to have negative 1, but now I can simplify what's in brackets here. It's going to be negative 2 times 3. Negative times a positive is going to be a negative. So 2 times 3 is 6, but it's going to be negative 6. And then I have 3 numbers being multiplied together. I can multiply these in any order I want because of the commutative property or the associative property. Actually, it's the associative property because I associate these two, or I can associate these two. I'm just going to do them in order. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. So this is going to become negative 2 times negative 6. Now I'm multiplying 2 negatives together, which is going to become a positive. So this is going to be positive 12, and that's my answer for letter A. Letter B, same thing. I'm going to rewrite the problem, but right away I'm just going to plug in my values. So it's going to be negative 2, and then in a bracket, times negative 2, oh, I got that expression going twice, negative 2 times negative 2 minus 0. I almost don't even have to write that because I know what negative 2 minus 0 is going to become, but for the sake of being thorough, I'll leave it in there. And then minus, and then in parentheses again, 0 minus negative 2. All right, what do I do first? Well, I'm going to dive right into these brackets here, and I have to do what's in my innermost parentheses first. That's this and this. I'm going to just simplify this in my original expression because negative 2 minus 0 is obviously just negative 2. So I can get rid of that one. But 0 minus negative 2 is a little bit harder. So I'm going to rewrite the whole thing again over here, and I'm going to simplify that one. So negative 2, bracket times negative 2. And then I have another negative 2 again because of what I just simplified there. So times negative 2. And this whole expression here is being multiplied. Negative 2 times negative 2 is, I'm subtracting from that. Let's see, in this parentheses, I have 0 minus a negative 2. I'm going to change that to an addition of the opposite. So it's going to be 0 plus positive 2. So what this is going to become is minus 2. One of the biggest hazards in working a problem like this is that there's a lot of -2, -2, -2. We're multiplying things together, but then all of a sudden there's just this -2. So this minus sign is not a negative in front of this 2. It's telling me I have to subtract something. And it's hard to keep that straight. Like the symbols kind of become blurry. Do what you need to do to keep all of the symbols straight in your mind. Okay, so that you don't lose this and think that it's -2 times -2 times -2, because it's actually negative times -2 times -2, whatever that is, minus 2. Okay, so the next thing I need to do is what's in these parentheses, these brackets, and now I'm going to multiply these three things together before I do my addition subtraction over here. So we're just going to say this equals, we'll go down to the next line. So I'm still going to have my negative times -2 out front. Let's just see if I can make this look right. Negative times -2. And then in brackets, I'm going to multiply my negative times -2. That becomes positive 2. Positive 2, because I changed it to the opposite, right? Positive 2 times -2 becomes -4. And then I still have a minus 2 in the brackets there. All right, I still have to do what's in my brackets next. And I have -4 minus 2 in brackets. So I still have this -2 out front. But I haven't simplified all of my inclusion symbols yet. So -4 minus 2. I notice that I have the same sign on both of those numbers. Or it's going to, I mean, if I change it to addition, it's going to be -4 plus -2, plus the opposite of 2. And I have the same signs on both of those, so I'm just going to add those numbers and keep the negative sign. So it's going to be -2 times -6. And now I've simplified everything in my inclusion symbols. Now I'm just going to multiply from left to right. Negative times -2 changes the sign to the opposite. So it's going to be +2 times -6 equals -12. And that's my answer for B. Letter C. Same sort of thing, except now we have a fraction. This is going to be 5 times y. Well, y equals -1. 5 times -1 in parentheses there. And then 2 times z. Well, z is 1/2. So I just know that that's going to multiply together to become something simple. 2 times 1/2 is just 1. But I'm not going to do that yet. And then I'm going to multiply that times 4 times x, which is 3, times y, which is -1. Okay, so all three of these things at the end are just being multiplied. So I've got these inclusion symbols that I should simplify first. I've got 5 times -1 and 2 times 1/2. When I get those simplified, I'm just going to have a number times a number times a number times a number times a number. I just multiply from left to right. So 5 times -1 is -5. I'm just going to do my second one right away too, because it's at the same level. 2 times 1/2 is just 1. And this is going to be times 4 times 3 times -1. And now I just multiply from left to right to solve this. 5 times -5 times 1 is -5 times 4 times 3 times -1. Okay. -5 times 4 is -20. And I still have times 4 times -1. Oh, hold on. Did I changed it. This is supposed to be 3. This is supposed to be 3. There we go. -20 times 3 is -60. So I'm going to have -60 times -1. The -1 is just going to change the sign to positive, so it's going to become 60. And 60 is my answer for letter C. All right, moving on to letter D. Here I have a fraction. So the previous one I was multiplying with 3 variables. This one I'm dividing with 3 variables. Keep in mind the fraction bar acts as an inclusion symbol. So here I have 4rs. Well, r is actually -1. And s is actually -3. So 4 times 1 times -3 divided by, under the fraction I have 6 times s, which is -3, times t, which is -2. All right, so to simplify this, I'm going to multiply across the top and multiply across the bottom. That should give me what the answer is. So 4 times -1 is -4, times -3 is positive 12. The top simplifies to 12. 4 times -1, -4. -4 times -3 is 12. All right? The bottom of this fraction is going to be 6 times -3, or 18, -18, times -2. Why, -18 times -2 becomes 36. Okay? So I have 12 over 36. I could simplify this. That's going to equal 1 over 3. 1/3 is my final answer here. All right, moving on to letter E. Here, things get a little bit different because I have to follow the instructions. It says, before I plug in my variables, I'm supposed to simplify the expression. And how do I simplify with variables? I use the distributive property to distribute my variables. So I'm going to distribute -b to a minus 3. I'm going to distribute in f -a to -b minus a. That's how I'm going to do these two problems. So let's do that. In letter E, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute my -b. It's going to become -ab. Okay, -ab plus, so it's the -b times -3. That's going to actually, the negative is going to interact with this negative by changing it to a plus. Plus 3b, positive 3b. The negative got canceled out by the negative here. I had to keep the negative in the first term. In the second term, there was a minus, so that minus became a plus. And then plus a. Now I can solve. So now I'm going to plug in. It's going to be -2 times -1, because b is -1. And let's see, the next part is going to be, so -2 times -1 plus 3 times b, 3 times -1. And then plus a is 2. Okay, that's how we solve this one. Now I'm just going to simplify from left to right. Because I don't have any inclusion symbols that have operations happening inside. So it's going to be negative times 2, that's -2. -2 times -1 is 2. Plus 3 times -1 is -3, so it's going to be plus -3, and then plus 2. And now I can just simply add from left to right. There's no more multiplication to do. So this is going to be 2 plus -3. Well, they have different sides, so I find the difference. The difference is 1. I have to keep the sign of the one with the greater absolute value, which is -3. So this is going to be -1 plus 2. Same thing with these ones. When I add 2 to -1, I get positive 1. And that's going to be my answer for E. Let's take a look at F. In letter F, we have the same situation going on. The first thing we're going to do is distribute the -a to -b minus a. Now when I distribute that, the -a is going to become positive when it multiplies anything negative. And both things in parentheses here are negative. So this becomes ab. When I multiply -a times -b, it just becomes ab. I can't simplify it any further. A times b. Plus, and in this case, it's going to be a times a, or a squared, okay, minus b. I just distributed this right away. -ab times negative a times -b is positive ab. -a times -a is just a squared. It becomes positive because it's negative times negative, and it's just a squared. And then I subtract b from that. All right, now I'm going to plug in what the values are. A is 2, so this will be 2 times b is -1 plus 2 squared. Okay, I could probably simplify that right away if I wanted to. And then minus b. b is -1. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and simplify this expression here. I don't have any inclusion symbols. I do need to do the exponent first. So this is going to become, I'm just going to multiply from left to right away too. -2 plus 4 plus 1, because -1 becomes plus 1. All right, so -2 plus 4 is going to be positive 2. plus 1 is 3.